There's a lot of talk these days around the power of AI to provide coaching for leaders. Can you believe the hype? The better question is, should you? I've been an executive coach for years, and I'm constantly watching for trends in the industry that I need to respond to. And AI is one of those trends. We are going to integrate AI into how we work over the next few years. It will not be going away. And I personally don't want it to. I think the potential is massive. But as I was taught many years ago, potential is what you ain't done yet. Which brings us back to the original question. Should you trust an AI coach? Let me give you 3 tests you need to consider before you ever sign up on AI coaching. Test 1, what is coaching? Coaching is an overused term. It's everything from being put in your place, let me give you some coaching, to literally just telling someone what to do. Let me coach you through that. That's training. That's not coaching. A true coach has to bring your best out as opposed to putting their best into you, right? So when they put their best in, that's training. When they're bringing your best out, that's coaching. And they have to use 3 critical components. First, observation. Mouth closed, eyes and ears open. Motivation. They have to know what your buttons are and how they're being triggered. And third, developmental feedback, just-in-time information to help you actually grow. So let's talk about how AI is designed to do all 3 of those. We know right off the bat that AI has limitations on how well it can observe you in live behavior. Yes, it can record conversations and analyze those conversations, but the true power of AI for especially executive leaders is when it can analyze the feedback you've collected from your employees and the available business data that you've provided. AI will go through all of that data and look for points to discuss with you as a coach. So I'll give AI props for being able to observe. Now let's get to motivation. Can AI actually motivate you? No way. But the reality is nobody can motivate you. You motivate you. Motivation comes from within. So what can AI do? It can do the exact same thing a human coach can, and that's look for what demotivates you. Look at the things that are becoming obstacles to your performance that are environmental and identify those, and then again, help you break those down and move them out of your way. Now here we can see AI might be able to identify potential hotspots, but is AI actually going to be able to address those obstacles with you? Probably not. And the third critical component is developmental feedback. And this is where AI can shine. It can help you get feedback about what's going well, what's not going well, and what you could do differently. More importantly, your AI coach should be asking you the questions. What do you think went well, didn't go well, and what you could do differently? Because if it's truly coaching, it's bringing your best out. That means it needs to raise and increase your self-awareness, not simply spit out pre-programmed answers. And to summarize it all, if your AI coach is not bringing your best out through observation, motivation, and developmental feedback, it's not really coaching. It's really just a proactive search engine. Let's talk about test number 2. What patterns are being used by the AI? Let's be honest, AI is not fully AI. It's really just machine learning that does a fantastic job at sounding like it's artificially intelligent. What this means is that it converts pattern recognition and analysis into insights that are delivered conversationally. And that's still an incredibly powerful dynamic. But the Achilles heel here is that AI has to be taught the patterns to look for. That's the machine learning aspect of this. It still has to be pointed in the direction of what to seek and then analyze. And these patterns need to be centered on something more than emotional intelligent factors. AI, frankly, is simply not ready for EI. Even though it may eventually get there, it's going to take a long time. So in the meantime, I believe that AI is ready for business best practices, and more specifically, strategic execution best practices. But again, they have to be programmed in. They have to be taught to the machine for it to learn how to seek and identify breakdowns in those patterns. And let me explain how I would do that. The number one most important aspect of great strategic execution is not having a plan. Plans fail all the time. To paraphrase the immortal words of Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. This is why the military never gives just one plan to execute a mission. They always provide more than one plan because the goal is to complete the mission, not follow the plan. Right off the bat, your company might even struggle to have that clarity. It's so focused on plans and meetings and dashboards that it misses the most important idea of strategic execution, and that's great decision making. Therefore, the patterns that your AI coach should be analyzing are the patterns of whether or not great decision making is happening. And that comes in one or more of the following 5 areas. Is your leadership forging clarity? Is your leadership driving empowerment? Is your leadership inspiring engagement? Is your leadership generating accountability? And is your leadership shaping culture? Those 5 things, clarity, empowerment, engagement, accountability, and culture, are the foundation of great decision making. They will determine if your team is going to be high performing or not. And if AI has the capacity to look at business data and the feedback from your people to tell you, hey, this is coming online, this is going offline, you want that information available to you. But again, AI has to be taught to do that in order for it to actually provide that coaching. And more importantly, if you don't have coaching on how to drive the execution of your business strategy, you do not have what it takes to stabilize your business execution. And if your AI coach does not know how to stabilize your business execution, it's not going to give you much more than tips and tricks for being liked. Which brings us to the 3rd test. Will the AI coaching actually work on you? There are 2 essential components of any great coaching relationship: the coach and the player. Yes, you do need a solid coach, but the player must also be coachable. How do I define uncoachability? Well, it's the unwillingness to be observed, be motivated, or receive that developmental feedback. For most of us, that sounds really easy to overcome. We just simply say, okay, I will accept the coaching I receive. But in my experience as a professional coach, most leaders have to overcome one of the biggest blind spots that they have before they can actually generate the kind of breakthroughs they're seeking through that coaching. It's called the ego fear loop, and it is universal to humanity. To break down a very complex idea into a really simple model, I'll offer this. We all have a sense of ego. We all have a sense of self. That is healthy. What is unhealthy is when our sense of self becomes distorted and where we only get pleasure from being successful, being significant, or being in control. The problem with success, significance, and control is they open the door to the creation of the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and the fear of risk and the unknown. And to the degree that you are afraid of failure, rejection, and risk is to the degree that you're addicted to success, significance, and control. What are you going to do when your AI coach says, I want you to back off of your sense of control and trust the journey? We may say, stupid computer, what are you trying to tell me? I'll ignore you. And yet, that may be the actual coaching you need. Let things play out. Let your team figure things out. Let the market respond to what's been put into motion. Patience is a critical leadership skill. But if you immediately turn to your ego fear loop as soon as you receive feedback that says you might not be in control or you might not be successful, what's the value of having a coach at all? If your AI coach does not understand this psychological truth, it's not going to ever help you overcome it. It will only make your ego fear loop worse. So, is AI coaching truly right for you now? Do I think AI is worthy of your trust when it comes to coaching? Not quite yet. There are still a number of gaps that have to be addressed. But in the meantime, if you are looking for a coach, we should talk. I'd love the chance to talk with you to see if working together could accelerate your journey and bring you to a whole new level of excellence. How could you become the best version of yourself? See my contact information in the notes below. And let's talk. Holo mua. Onward and upward.